Go ahead. All right. So again, my name is Kiana Ali. I'm a real estate agent in the state of New Jersey. I have been working in the financial industry for a little over 10 years. Just got my real estate license and have been working with Master Keys Realty Group. I'm here with Miss Stephanie Fulton-Lott with Movement Mortgage, just here to go over just to provide some information about the home buying process, what buyers can expect, and how to successfully get to the closing table. So what that mortgage process, that loan application process, what they can expect going through that. So have some questions here just to get a better understanding. Again, if you don't mind just taking some time just to introduce yourself.
Sure, Kiana, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Stephanie. As you mentioned before, I'm with Movement Mortgage currently. I've been in the mortgage industry since 2005, so I've seen a lot of changes. And I'm just excited to be that guide to help you through this loan process because it is just that, a process. But who you work with matters. So let's get started.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, you stated that you're with Movement Mortgage.
Yes.
Just to give just a little more background information about what it is that you do and what made you get into this field.
Okay, I am a mortgage loan originator. So I do help you go through the mortgage process. I do everything from getting the client's initial interview, figuring out what you want as far as a loan, and just help you go through the process of home ownership as far as the finance piece. I got into this industry because in my early 20s, I had a dream of wanting to purchase a home. Did not know what that dream entailed. And there was a lot of hurdles. And there was no one to answer the questions for me. So I was going through this process and having to learn everything from A to Z on my own. And it wasn't the easiest of processes, but what it did is it did teach me. And with that, it gave me a passion to want to teach others and get them through that process as well, because it's a very easy thing to become discouraged when you hear no, right?
Yes.
So I didn't like the no. The no didn't stop me though. But I want to be that guy that helps you not stop with the no and, say, hey, it's no for right now, or maybe it's yes for right now, but you don't know, but let's get to the next step.
Okay, awesome. Just to share some of my background, as far as, what made me get into this field and, where I started. I started in banking back in 2017. I've worked in mortgages, banking, credit. I've done, like I said, mortgages, title, life insurance, and all the while, like I moved up into management, working with different with the credit union, and like all the while, like my driving force is just being able to help people, being able to educate people on how to better manage their finances, just to see where they are and to, be able to offer any assistance that I can. In 2017, I purchased my home completely blind. I did it on my own, no agent, no attorneys. It was literally just, I was ready to purchase a home. I wanted to do it as a gift for my 30th birthday to myself. And that's what I did. And while the process wasn't having, coming from that financial background, having that working knowledge, it wasn't completely foreign to me. It did open my eyes to just understanding like it's an entire process. And like you said, who you work with matters, and it can be, it can make all the difference for you. So for me, it sort of helped put things in perspective. Like I would want to be that guide to someone else going through this process. Like I don't want anyone else to have to go through it as blindly as I did. So that definitely helped. That played a major part as to why I got into this field. And that's why we're here now, just wanting to share, our working knowledge, any expertise that we can to sort of help people be prepared to take in this next step.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let me see here. Some of the questions that I know we discussed previously, just getting a better understanding. So in this climate, in this market, everything that's going on, what are some of the things that buyers can do to prepare themselves to qualify for a loan?
I would say definitely gathering information, gathering all of your income documents. Very important to do that up front because you will be asked for that information. And if you know what's expected of you up front, it's just going to make everything in the end go much more smoothly. So I would suggest gathering your income documents. If you're on a W-2, gather your W-2s, gather your pay stubs. If you're self-employed, definitely you want to gather your 1099s. You want to have enough pay stubs for the month. So if you're paid weekly, you want to have 4 pay stubs. If you're paid bi-weekly, you want to have 2 pay stubs. You need to have your tax returns for the past 2 years. Okay, so currently you need to have 2018, 2019 tax returns available. You want to make sure that you have bank statements, the monies that you're using for down payment and closing. You want to make sure that that's fully documented. You're able to send that over to your loan officer so that there's no delay if you have all of this information readily available, because you will be asked for it to get a approval. It's just very important to have it where you have access to it, and you have access to it where it can be sent over either electronically or either, figure out a way that you can fax that information over.
Okay. I think that's a really great point, especially for those who either, like you said, maybe either self-employed, for like any 1099 workers, freelance workers,
Yeah.
contract workers. I think that sometimes though their requirements are somewhat skewed to them, like they're not necessarily sure what they need, how far back they need to go. So I think that's definitely a great point.
Absolutely.
Let me see. So I know we discussed, you were saying like what type of products are available to them. Can you just briefly go over like the different mortgage loan options that are available to buyers?
Absolutely. So the most common one, I guess, that a lot of individuals know are conventional products. A conventional loan product, it used to be where you had to put 20% down. You had to have enough money on hand to be able to put 20% down in a home. That product has changed recently. So now those who could not qualify because they didn't have enough money for down payment, you can potentially, depending on what your credit score is, put down as low as 3%. So conventional is a great product to qualify for as well. Then you have FHA, which allows you to, it's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say easier process to qualify for FHA, but what I want to say is that it allows sometimes for a lower credit score and less money to put down. It used to be less money to put down, but now with conventional, you can also put less money down. And that will come into play when you're working with, a professional that can look at all of your income, your assets, and your credit, and determine which loan product you qualify for. We also have a VA loan product for veterans.
Awesome.
Okay. And then also you have renovation loans, which I love. Because a lot of times, and you probably love it as well as an agent,
yes,
because you may not see your dream home, but you can possibly create your dream home because now you have money for the purchase of the property, and then also whatever renovation, whether you want to have a new kitchen installed, new bathrooms installed, you can potentially access enough money to complete that renovation product and have one loan to cover both.
Okay, awesome. Now with the renovation loans, I know those are becoming a lot more popular now between, you have investors looking at looking to get into properties, but then you just have, first-time home buyers or any home buyer just looking, you said they may not see their dream home, but they're ready to make one themselves, or they see the potential in one, but they may not necessarily have all the capital up front to really put into it. So I think, those products would definitely be beneficial. So to start that process, like, does one require more work than the other? Like, how does that work? Or, like, what's something that, because it may sound like daunting to someone just going into it, like, okay, well, like, would I even qualify for something like that? Like, can you speak to that effect?
So if you can qualify for a loan, you can definitely qualify for a renovation loan. Okay. The process is much the same, but then at the same time, it's a little bit different because you also have to qualify the renovation piece. And that can be a bit frustrating sometimes because now you have contractors that are required to, one, be licensed and insured, and they have to prove that. So not only do you have to qualify as an individual, the property has to qualify, the renovation project has to qualify, and all of these moving pieces have to come together. Okay. However, again, if you're working with someone that's familiar with the process, what I do, the value that I bring with the renovation loan, and I think a lot of other lenders sometimes don't have the experience with renovation loans. So what I think is important is that there is communication with the contractor that you choose, your lender, and your agent, so that we know what is expected up front, because the contractor will be required to provide certain documents, or signing documentation that they're not familiar with. So it's important that someone can guide them through as to what they need, so that we can get those things back in time and there's no delays.
Okay, thank you for that. All
Mhm.
right, so just to piggyback off of like those different requirements, so given the impact that this pandemic has had on the job market, like
Yeah.
has it affected the 2-year employment history requirement, or like what are some ways buyers can sort of basically prepare themselves for that hurdle there?
So it is definitely a hurdle, and I'm hoping that this will change. Okay. But for now, right now, and they come together and try to figure these things out as we go. This is new. This is a very uncertain time. Right now, what is difficult is that a lot of people, a lot of buyers are furloughed. A lot of buyers have lost their employment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, right now, you can't qualify if you're furloughed or if you're on unemployment.
Okay.
However, do not be discouraged, because if you regain employment, what I would say is to communicate this with your loan officer, communicate this with the real estate agent, because once you regain employment, you can then qualify. And what you just have to do is explain the gap in employment. If it's not a 30-day gap in employment, as with any other time aside from COVID, you should be okay. But if you have over a 30-day gap in employment, then that has to be explained and it has to be approved by the underwriter. So it has to make sense. Some things, everyone understands we're going through a pandemic. We understand that a lot of us have lost employment. We understand that a lot of us have, shortened hours, but it's very important to communicate and send over documentation so that your loan officer can work with you to figure out how to get over that hurdle. Don't be discouraged. If you have a gap in your 2-year work history, sometimes, if it's not, like I said, over the 30 days, we can still qualify you when you start working again. And a lot of people are going back to work. A lot of buyers are going back to work. So, don't lose focus of your dream.
Okay, perfect. And I think that's definitely a great point and some much needed encouragement, because a lot of times, buyers may feel like, okay, I have to start over, or it's just not my time right now. So I think it's just a matter of, like you said, the importance of the communication and
Mm-hmm.
keeping everyone informed as to, what your situation is, any
Yes.
changes that are taking place, being upfront with your loan officer. Like,
Yes.
you want to make sure that, you're being completely honest with them.
Honest.
So that way they're here to help you. And again, it also plays back to us just talking about, it's all about the team that you're working with. Is who you
Yes.
work with definitely matters, because you want to make sure that they're understanding your situation, and that
Mhm.
you want to feel comfortable enough being able to share these things with them.
Absolutely.
So
Everyone's situation is different. You may be
yes.
able to still qualify. You may not be, but it's not an automatic restart with your 2-year work history. That's what I think I want. Is very important to understand.
Okay. All right, so just to go back and just sharing some of the knowledge that we've gained over the years, what have you found to be some of the biggest misconceptions that you've encountered from clients about having to, buying a home or trying to qualify?
I think two are major for me. And I think one is I'm not ready. How do you know that you're not ready unless you've spoken with the professionals?
Yes.
So I think that you may not feel as though you're ready, but you definitely need to speak with a loan originator. Speak with someone that knows and
Yes.
can tell you what you need to become ready, if in fact you're not ready at this point in time, so that when you are ready, there's no delays. You don't have to wait. You're already prepared, and you know exactly what's going to be expected of you.
Okay.
So not ready. How do you get ready unless you know what's expected?
Yes.
The other one is the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qual. This is a big
Yes.
one for me. Okay. So a pre-qual is just simply my best guess.
Hmm.
I've had a conversation with you and you told me I make $1 million, and I say, okay, well, you qualify for a $2 million home.
Yes.
No. So it's very important that when you are dealing with preparing for mortgage financing, that you do look to get a pre-approval, meaning that you've spoken with a professional, mortgage professional, and they have taken a look at all of your information, your income, your assets, and your credit. Okay, that they've seen your act, they physically have seen all of your documents, all of your income documents, and they have verified your qualifying, how much home you can afford based off of how much you make. Okay. And then, with our company, we actually do a full underwritten approval, meaning that we put you in front of the underwriter, which is a little bit different, which is a lot different than a lot of lenders, because you typically don't see the underwriter until the end, until you reach almost closing. But with us, we actually do present you to the underwriter, and the underwriter says you're credit worthy or not. With me, I do fully verified approvals anyhow, because I want to make sure that we're figuring out the issues together before I even put you in front of my underwriter.
Gotcha.
So when we get to the closing table, we're going full speed ahead to the closing table. We're going to make it there.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that those are probably, that's definitely some of the bigger ones that, we come across. The difference definitely being between the pre-quals and then the pre-approvals, because it's almost like, you go on any site and it's like, okay, let's see if, we can get you're pre-qualified, and they're ready, like, okay, no, listen, I have this, I've been, I've already been pre-approved, and then you're looking at it, it's like, no, it's actually a little bit more than that. We're gonna we have to dig a little bit deeper. So that's definitely something I've seen. I've seen that even on the banking side, like back when I was still in finance, and that was definitely one of the bigger issues, not necessarily issues, but one of the biggest misconceptions that, we would have. And then also just the whole point that you were making as far as, not being ready. And it's like, well, what does ready look like to you? What do you feel you need in order to be ready? Are you not ready because of the uncertainty behind it, the type of responsibility financially? Do you not think, you're disciplined enough to take on that type of, like, where exactly are we for you to feel that you're not ready? Like, what exactly does ready look like first? And then let's address that.
There you go.
And then go from there. So yes, that I can definitely see that. I would also say something that I've come across would just be just the uncertainty of it all, just like not knowing, what to do, where to start. And it's, it's just like, okay, well, I think this is what I want. And then it's like, well, I'm not sure if I'm, I'm not, how do I know how much house I qualify for? Or how do I know, like, what's my range? And it's like, okay, that's why I prefer to start with, let's start with assembling our team as far as who do you want to be your lender. Let's start there so that we already know we're not flying blind. We're not going out looking at properties that are either way outside your budget, or you're settling for something because you don't think you qualify for something more. So it's like, let's start here so that way we have a definitive ground for knowing, okay, this is where we're looking at. Are you okay with this? This is what this would look like on the mortgage, and as far as your monthly payment. And then we can go from there. So that's pretty much like the biggest thing. Like, okay, well, I make X, Y, Z, and I don't have too much debt, or not really knowing what their credit looks like. You'd be surprised how many people have never even looked at their credit reports.
True.
So it's like, okay, let's do some groundwork.
To me, my credit's not there. Oh wow, but you qualify. You have a qualifying credit.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You never know. To me, I feel as though you need a roadmap. And why not start here? The best place to start is, and let's draw out the roadmap, together we'll work to see what you expect and what you need. And then we can work together to get you to, your wants and your needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to basically, just to continue off of that, for people who have never purchased a home or completely unfamiliar with the process, let's talk about what that roadmap would look like. What would be those steps?
Okay. So you should start. I know everyone wants the home. No one wants to discuss the financing piece, right? So, but you definitely should start with learning how much home you can afford. And so that unfortunately does start with me. That starts with the lender. Have a conversation with the lender. Once you have that conversation, we'll take an application. Okay. Once you take an application and we find out that you actually qualify for, however much home, we do a handoff to your agent. Kiana, you take it away.
Yeah.
So I guess I can speed up to the point that you actually have submitted an offer and you've gotten the offer accepted, right? So what does that look like? You're handed back over to your lender. Your offer's been accepted. You're in a 3-day time frame that's called attorney review.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that gives you the opportunity to negotiate the contract. You're under contract now. You'll speak with your attorney. Your attorney will review. You'll make sure that you understand the terms of your contract. Once you get past that point, and we say steps, but it almost happens. Some of these pieces happen simultaneously and are interchangeable. Once I'm aware that you're under contract and you're out of attorney review, I will then put you into something called processing. We'll start processing your loan file. Hopefully we've done all the things up front, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, it should go pretty smooth because I've already gotten all of your income information. I've given you a true approval, not a pre-qual.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you qualify. And at this point, it'll just be updating your documents, because depending on how long it takes for you to find a home, you know, your income documentation may need to be updated. You have new pay stubs. There's a 30-day requirement that it has to be within 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you don't need a new tax return, but you may need new tax returns. I will then be reaching out. My processor will probably reach out to you and introduce herself to you and say, hey, I'm working along with Stephanie. This is who I am. When you're in processing, we'll just make sure that all of the documents are in order. I'll ask you to order an appraisal so that we can find out if your home that you're under contract for does meet the value of what they're asking for that property.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we can't loan money off of a property that doesn't come in at the value, okay, necessary. Once you have the appraisal ordered, we'll also ask you to look for your homeowner's insurance. And your title insurance. They'll run something called title to make sure that that property doesn't have any liens on it. So that's a protection for you as a buyer.
Yeah.
Once you're out of processing, we will most likely put you in before the underwriter to start reviewing your loan file as well. The underwriter will come back at that point. That's the first review, the first time you go before the underwriter. And typically the underwriter will come back with something called a conditional approval, which means, hey, you know, there may be something that they see that's missing from the file. There may be something that they see that poses a question. And at that point, we'll be in constant communication, myself and my processor, with the buyer to say, hey, these are the things that's needed, you know, to fulfill these conditions. Sometimes it may not even be a condition that's on the buyer's side, but it may be something pertaining to the property that they want you to resolve before they say, hey, we're going to, give you this credit. We deem you credit worthy, or we're going to go. Once you get the conditional approval, conditions fulfilled, then we'll go into underwriting for a final time, hopefully. And hopefully at that point, the underwriter will review everything and say everything looks great and give you a clear to close. Clear to close means we're scheduling closing and we're going to the closing table. That's time to do your happy dance.
Yes.
And that's what we've all worked hard for at that point, to get you to the closing table.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And again, it's just a matter of just providing that information so buyers understand, like, okay, well, you know, I thought that we've already did that part. Like, why do we have to resubmit these things? And this is the type of information that I think a lot of times are missed, or, you know, sometimes they're just simply unaware of it. Like, okay, you may have to submit the same documents multiple times. Yes. And it's all a part of this process. Our goal is to get you to that closing table, get you signing documents and getting the keys in your hand. Like, we all want that for you. So
that's the end goal. That's the end goal for everyone.
Absolutely.
And it's very important as we request different things from you as a buyer, to avoid delay. Please get those things back in a timely manner, because we can only, get things resolved together. Mm-hmm. Very important to work together to get it done.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it definitely helps, like, having these conversations and being able to, you know, be upfront and speak very candidly about it, so that they understand, you know, we may need some information. It may seem a little bit repetitive, but as, you know, like you said, if we started in, you know, now at the end of June, and we've gotten all the documents to you, and it's taken maybe a month or two to find to find the property. And now we want to re-verify that information. So we're not trying to hassle you. We're not trying to, make things difficult for you. We're genuinely asking this information so that way, the quicker when you request it from us, the quicker they can get this information back in your hands, the quicker that you can do your part in order to get them to that table.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I will be, at that point, we'll be in constant communication. Hey, this is what's needed, keeping the updates going. Myself and the agent, very important for everyone to communicate as things are happening, because there will be a lot of things, as I said, interchangeably, that will be going on simultaneously, and a lot of moving parts. But if everyone's working together to do their piece, it just makes for a much smoother transaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that pretty much summed up all of the questions that, just some of the basics that we wanted to go over. I think this is definitely very helpful. I'll continue to keep an eye out for any additional questions that may come in over the upcoming days.
Absolutely.
And I would definitely welcome the opportunity just to, go through this process again, maybe touching more on like the individual loans so that they know what to expect, or, just to get some more information on how to get in contact with you. I know that I have your contact information. Yes. So once everything is done and we post the video, I'll definitely want to, share your contact information so that if any buyers, they have any questions or they're ready to take these steps, absolutely, I want them to know that we're here.
Yes,
you handle the mortgages, I do real estate, we just want to offer our expertise. Like, we actually we linked up through one of the groups on Facebook, just on a whim, just being able to network with other people. And I think this is what those groups are for, like these type of opportunities to share information, to put our services out there to help one another. That's all it's about.
Absolutely. We have to each one teach one, and I'm available, as you said, to ask questions. No question's too big or too small. Yes. Ask the question, because you have no way of knowing unless you ask, and get the answer. So I would encourage, if you're not certain, everyone's situation is different. It's not one glove fits all.
Yeah.
So reach out. You won't know until you actually start the process. And
absolutely.
So I definitely I guess that's the one piece I want to leave here, is definitely give me a call, shoot me an email, shoot me a text. I'm sure Kiana will leave both of our contact information on the video. And, I'm here to answer any questions. Even reach out via Facebook. The questions are, we are both, as we said, encouraged and excited to answer your questions, because we want you to know.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, because we understand what it's like to go through these processes, having these questions and not really knowing, who to bounce them off of. So any way that you have any questions, any way that we can assist you with it, that's what we're here for. That's the bottom line. We're absolutely here to lend our expertise, to help in any way that we can, to help you. We want to get you to that closing table. We want to help you through this process. So any questions you may have, I'll include with the link in the comments. I'll make sure to include our contact information, how you can get in contact with either one of us. But I want to thank you, Stephanie, for taking the time to do this with me.
Anna, this is the part of the job that I love. So thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to continuing to do more things like this. If you get more questions, I'll definitely be interested in coming back on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
And I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you.
Yes,
have a great day.
You're very welcome. You as well.